Hello everyone. Welcome to Hope and Healing at Home. We were going to be doing the shedding technique with Jen from Soul Spring Arts today, but she has fallen ill. She's okay, just not well enough to join us today. So we're going to postpone that one until she's feeling better, and that will be exciting. I will keep you posted. And today, kind of continuing that theme of time from last week, we're going to focus in on having time for everything. So what are ways that you keep track of time, that you get things done in a day or a week? How do you try to organize yourself with all these things that you have to do, but we only have so much time in a day? Do you wear a watch? Do you set timers? Do you use calendars? Do you have those calendars that have the week at a glance, the day at a glance with like every half hour marked out? Do you just try to keep cramming everything in? And how does that feel? Maybe unlike me, you're pretty good at your time management and knowing when to say no and when to say yes so that you don't overload your day is one of my weak spots. I always feel like, oh, there's time for one more thing, or why did that take so long? And I start feeling really stressed, and then I feel like I've missed some of the key points of a day, maybe missed moments that I could have taken advantage of building relationships or connecting with somebody important to me. So along those lines, I'm gonna make a little bit more space here. Grab any art supplies that you want, and we're gonna get going. I'm gonna bring out some of the stuff that we had last week when we were sorting through memories, because I like this idea of the envelopes that we had from last week, and writing on separate slips of paper what it is that we need to do in a day, what it is that we find important in our life, or that we hope to accomplish in a day, a week, a month, a year. And you can do this with scraps of paper. You could do this with images or phrases, things. As I was sorting through my collage things, I found a calendar that I got for free in the mail. I found some different images that were speaking to me today for some reason. I thought of when I saw this one that was right next to this image, I thought, it's like Cinderella and the limited time at the ball. Then there was an image of some sloths. And I'm like, well, they have time to do what they must do, right? And then there's always words when you flip through collage things, magazines, newspapers, junk mail, images. What are those things that are important to you that you want to make time for, that maybe you feel have gotten squished out of your days, that you want to make sure that you go ahead and start making time for? I have a lot of trees around here. My boyfriend works with wood, and every once in a while we start counting rings on trees that he's cut down. Or it's always kind of interesting to see how many rings, how long a tree has been around. We've had some very old ones, like over 100 years old, and we always save a slice of those because it's a fun reminder of how long they've been around, what's keeping track of their time, and what marks our time, and how do we not get swept away with all the to-do lists, the pressures around us to do certain things, and sort out what it is that we need to do for ourselves. What are those actual priorities in our life that we want to make sure that we have time for? So you could just brainstorm on paper and just write down what they are. Just start writing what they are. Maybe you want to make time for exercise. And let your brain go. Don't censor this, because what you're going to end up doing is separating all of these. Dog training, friends, maybe somebody's putting a website together, maybe there's business. All these things that are pressing in our time that you feel like you need to do or you want to do, and actually it's a both. It's not an or. It's what are the things you feel like you need to do? What are the things that you feel like you want to do? And write out the list. Take note of how it feels to write that list out, and then start separating it. If you write them too close, you might want to use scissors to separate these. And I'm just giving you little examples because I know time is limited. So once they're written, again, no judging as you write it. Brainstorm. Get all these ideas. What takes up time? What things do you feel like you need to do? What do you want to do? How does it feel to write all these things down? How does it feel to separate them? And then as you look at them, how do you start to sort them? Now, obviously, if you have littles, that's definitely going to be a priority item, right? Very important that you take care of their daily needs when they're totally dependent on you. So start to separate them. Most important next level importance. You can put them in piles and then just sort them in priority level as to what's most vitally important to you. Not necessarily what takes up the most time or what other people say should be most important to you. Like some people would say cleaning. I should definitely have that as one of my priorities, but I will tell you cleaning falls maybe way back here. I'm like, I got lots of other things on my plate that I would rather be doing. Cooking is another thing that's way down here. I really don't enjoy it. I do it only because, at some point I have to eat, right? And dog training is one of those things that for me is important, but it often gets pushed off to over here. But with this exercise, I feel like I want to move that up in my priority because this is a great thing. We can organize this list to what is actually happening. We can organize it to what we feel it should be, and we can organize it to what we want it to be. I would encourage you, maybe try organizing it in each of those ways or a couple of those ways and see how it feels to look at that list in the way that you feel like it should be, the way that it is in reality, and then the way you want it to be. When you get it to the way you want it to be, that's where we're going to start making some art. And you could do it as simple as, you could just tape this list together and put it on another page. I kind of like this Cinderella and her pumpkin. I really was connecting with this. I'm just going to do a little art journal spread. It's collage. I feel like that's one of the fastest ways to do some art therapy, to process it, because the image is already there. You just have to find it and then alter it. You can cut, you can tear. I really thought I had some images of clocks. I had not printed any of those out, so you could have an image of clock. You could draw an image. You could do this in a calendar, whatever feels right to you. In your junk mail, do you ever get magnets? I just got one from, I think it was like the Humane Society or something, obviously looking for money as a thank you for the gift they just sent you in the mail that you never asked for. But some of those things are really fun because you could repurpose them to create something for yourself. So with the magnet, you could create an image that you glue right onto that magnet and then put it on your fridge or something. You could create an image on the calendars that come in the mail. You could put a collage on those to help remind you. So like you could put the collage right on here of reminding you what you want your priorities with time to be, what you really want to focus in on this coming year. You could do it on the inside. You could even do it each month. On these small calendars you get for free in the mail, it would be a very small image, but you could put an image of what you want to focus in on with your time that month. Just a couple ideas. I'm just going to lay it out quickly, and then I think I'll probably add stamps afterwards, and I will post the finished image here on Instagram, and I will also have it in the video that I edit for YouTube. So one thing that I liked about these pumpkins were they were a little bit of different sizes. And one thing as we think about time management is that there is time for everything, just, not right now. We can do it. We can get all those important things done. We just can't always get them done the moment we want to get them done. That was in a book. My grandma gave me a book for high school graduation, and I believe it was by Maria Shriver. I think it was called The 10 Things I Wish I Knew. It's a very small book. And one of the things that I remember from that book is, I think her mom was talking to her about all the things she was trying to cram into a day and how stressed out she was, how anxious she was, never having time, always feeling rushed and frazzled. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but I certainly can. Anyway, her mom said, well, you can do it all. You just can't do it all now. She wanted to be an author, she was a mom, she wanted to be a journalist, and she was trying to cram all of this in, feeling like she had to do all of these different things, achieve all of these different dreams at the same time. And her mom said, just slow it down right now. What is your most important thing to be successfully accomplishing? And at that point, she had little kids, and so she said, well, of course, being a mom right now is the most important thing to me. And so she decided to really focus her efforts in on that and say no to everything else. And so she did that well, and then pretty soon, as a part of being a mom, opportunities opened up for, I think, writing a children's book. And then as the kids went to school, she had more time to pursue some other things. And when the kids were in high school, she had even more. And then when they went off to college, she found herself with even more time, free time. She could support her kids, still be a good mom, and then she could get back into being a journalist and a reporter and pursue her writing career more full time. And I love that example of really evaluating. You don't have to say no to these dreams and these things that you want to do. You might just need to say wait. And in the Bible, there are a bunch of verses I looked some of those up earlier, and I will put links to these, and I'll have them written out in the newsletter, which you can sign up for at hopeandhealingathome.com or in the link in my bio up above here. One of the most well-known verses is Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. It talks about there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, to kill, to heal, to tear down, to build up, to weep, to laugh, to mourn, to dance, to scatter stones, to gather them back up, to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to tear down and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for war, and a time for peace. I think most have probably heard that. It's interesting to break that down and slow it down. Lots of images come to mind. I feel like I could do a couple journaling spreads on that. The time to build and all that stuff reminds me of actually building buildings and all the different stages of building a house. There's lots of different stages in it for planning and for inspections, and so much work and effort goes on that eventually gets all covered up. When you go to a finished house, you don't see time, so much time, planning, expertise, details, the support structure. We don't see that when we go and look at a house, but it's all there. And if the people didn't take the time to do each one of those steps, your house would not be safe. Might look all right on the outside, but if they didn't take time for the concrete to cure well, or to get the plumbing joints sealed right, or to get the electrical done properly, your house might look pretty for a while, but it is not going to stand the test of time and be able to protect you. That was one thing I was thinking. And of course, planting and harvesting gardens and all of our food. What were some of the other ones that I came across here? Verses about being careful with how we use our time, and that when we look and are wise about our time, it actually it creates more wisdom and more peace. When we don't try to slam it all in, when we recognize our time is limited as human beings, we only have so much time in a day and in our lifetime, and we actually don't know how long our lifetimes will be, right? We all assume we're going to live to a ripe old age and have plenty of time to build up a retirement and to travel to places and to make amends with people, and we push things off, right? Can anybody relate to that? But we really have no idea. We are not guaranteed tomorrow. We are not promised tomorrow. We don't know if we'll make it through the night when we go to sleep. We don't know if we'll see that person again. So this is the start of mine here. And we'll see how that continues to grow here. I'm gonna add a couple layers of collage. I'm probably gonna add some stamps. I really like these written stamps that might make a really cool texture behind that, or I might grab my Neocolor water-soluble pencils or crayons or markers, or with your pen. I personally really like using the water-soluble things to do some journaling in. And for right now, I'm just gonna pretend to be journaling. So writing out those things, use different colors you can change the direction of how you're writing. And the really cool thing about water-soluble is that once you activate it, these blur together anyway. So if confidentiality or having somebody find your journal is ever a worry to you, or if you don't want anybody to ever read what you've written because it's very, personal, this is a great way to do it. You can do your writing underneath your images and then glue right on top of them, or you do it water soluble and get out a brush and some water, and you start to, this is just typing paper. So sometimes in a journal, if your paper is a little bit heavier, these might respond to the water a little bit differently. And then you can also write on top of the wet and get a slightly different interaction. So the layering of writing, water soluble and then adding water, and you kind of blend it all together. Grab some paint, and you could activate it with the paint as well, because I feel like it really does act a little different on sturdier paper. Or how hard you push. So I just have some very basic acrylic paint here. So this can be another way of creating a background with your journaling. So to just have layers and layers of meaning. And have fun with it. Don't worry about creating anything specific. You know, like I want to put the Cinderella and the pumpkins on here, and I could get very distracted by making the right kind of a background with leaves or a field, or maybe I want to have lights of the ball in the background or something like that, or the house with all the chores. You can do that. You can keep adding layers, or you can just go with the flow, not worry about having it be anything specific. Just go with how you're feeling in that moment, whatever color feels right, whatever emotion with your brush feels right. And you can keep turning the paper. So get your background done and then let it dry, and you can rearrange the collage on it. Hopefully all of that inspires you thinking about time, what's important to us, and how do we select the most vital thing for us right now. This does not mean it's going to stay the most vital thing in our life forever, but for right now, what is that most important thing to you that you want to be making sure that you make time for, and how do you make that happen in your life? Do you need to box some things up so they're not distractions? Do you need to say no to some activities that people are asking you to do? Is there some things that you need to release from your life? Do you need to be more intentional about how much time you spend on your computer or reading a book? Maybe you need to make some time for sitting in the hammock and reading a book, connecting with kids, connecting with friends, connecting with your spouse. It's so easy in the day-to-day busyness and demands to lose track of those important things in our life, of what matters most. This is a journaling activity. Hopefully these prompts will help you process through some of that, and you can make some art, make a list, make some kind of a visual reminder for yourself of what you want to focus on most. And that helps make it a lot easier to set boundaries in other places of life, of what to say yes to and what to say no to, so that your life can feel more genuine, authentic, in line with how you want it to be, so that when you look back, you won't have regrets of having missed opportunities of our fleeting time with the people, the pets, the things that are actually most important to us. Thanks for joining. We'll see you not next week. I'm taking a week off to focus on a few things, and I'll be back on September 1st, and I will keep you posted on when we do the shedding technique with Jen from Soul Spring Arts. And also in September, we have Jenna coming to do an art journaling spread as well, and she's got some really cool things. I will put a link so you can check out her site. She even had a recent workshop that she was advertising about, and I'm like, oh, if I lived overseas, I would definitely make a way to get there, because she had a really cozy looking English cottage that everybody was meeting at. So it looked really fun. Check her stuff out. Have a good day. Remember, it's okay to say no and to not be able to do everything right now.